This is a CBSN Pittsburgh special presentation.
Hi, I'm Jon Delano, Money and Politics Editor, KDKA Television, CBS Pittsburgh. And our very special guest is Attorney General Josh Shapiro, who today announced his candidacy for governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. General Shapiro, always good to be with you, sir.
Great to be with you, John.
So you made your announcement and you made it in Pittsburgh. Let me ask the first question. Why Pittsburgh for this announcement when you come from suburban Philadelphia?
Pittsburgh has welcomed me over many, many years. And Pittsburgh really has been at the center of so many of the big fights I've engaged in on behalf of the good people of Pennsylvania. Chief among them, of course, bringing Highmark and UPMC together to protect access to healthcare for 1.9 million Western Pennsylvanians. I've showed up in the community there time and time again, as you know. I've listened, and as I said earlier today in Pittsburgh, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from the good people of Western Pennsylvania. And so I thought it was important to show up and show them the respect they deserve to hear from me saying the first time that I was announcing my candidacy to be the next governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Do you think there's a basic difference between Western Pennsylvanians and suburban Philadelphians?
I don't, John, and I'll say this. I have heard so many times the political pundits, I'm not even sure I remember who said it initially, that we are a Commonwealth made up of Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and I think they said Alabama in the middle. And that offends me. And it's something that I have always tried to say is not true. And in my experience traveling across this Commonwealth, from rural communities to urban to suburban, folks basically want the same things. They want to be connected to the internet. They want good schools for their kids. They want economic opportunities. They want to make sure that they don't have a tax burden that makes it hard for them to stay in their homes, keep a roof over their head, put food on the table. These are the kinds of things I hear from Pennsylvanians all over this Commonwealth. And so to me, it's not about our differences. It's about our similarities. It's about building one Pennsylvania where we meet our challenges and we seize these opportunities to do good for all people, from Western Pennsylvania to Eastern Pennsylvania and places in between.
You won't be surprised to learn that I scoured the history books to see the last time we had a Democrat in office as governor of Pennsylvania 12 years in a row, and there are none. And so the bottom line is that if you're elected governor, this would be really a 12-year period of Democratic rule. You may be familiar with the old adage that Pennsylvania tends to switch parties in the governor's residence every 8 years. So let me just ask you point blank, is a 4-year Shapiro term as governor an extension of the 8-year Wolf administration?
No, and John, you looked to the history books. I'm looking toward the future, a future that is going to make us a world-class Commonwealth where we don't only compete with Ohio and Texas, but we bring it right to China and we compete with them. I'm looking to build a Commonwealth that is inclusive of all, that addresses our systemic inequities. And to me, the question is not what the history books say or even what the last 8 years says. Voters in 2022 are going to have a clear choice between me and whoever the Republicans nominate. Those candidates are all effectively cut from the same cloth. I'm someone who has a history of bringing people together to get things done, of defending our democracy, of taking on big fights. My opponents, they're focused on pandering out of weakness. They're focusing on pushing the big lie. There are clear differences between us, and that's what Pennsylvanians should be focused on, the future and the clear contrast.
I was going to get to those Republicans in just a minute, but let me just wrap up on Governor Wolf, because people will say, well, we've had 8 years of a Democrat. How's it going to be any different with another Democrat for the next 4 years? Let me give you the chance again. You've articulated some of the things. I think the governor himself would say he embraces all of those. So how is a Shapiro administration going to be different from the Wolf administration?
Governor Wolf and I are obviously different people. And as you'll hear during this campaign, we're going to put out all kinds of policy that is going to speak to the specifics I'll do. I touched on a few of those things today, talking about making Pittsburgh a center of innovation, talking about reducing the tax burden on businesses, closing loopholes, while at the same time investing in our families, investing in our workers. You are going to see someone who works 24/7, someone who brings it every single day. And as I said in Pittsburgh, along the banks of the river there, someone who will be Pennsylvania's greatest cheerleader. But I have to say, John, again, this is not about the last 8 years or the contrast between me and Governor Wolf. This is about the very clear contrast between me and my Republican opponents. It couldn't be more stark. It couldn't be more clear. The stakes could not be greater as we go into 2022, where our democracy is literally on the ballot. And that is what I'll be speaking about in this campaign. And my track record is such that Pennsylvanians know me. I take on big fights and I get real results for them.
Well, let me ask you about that. Is Donald Trump really a referendum? Is this a referendum on Donald Trump in 2022?
This is going to be a choice between Josh Shapiro and whoever the Republicans nominate. And there will be a clear and stark difference between our candidacies and our track records.
And is that because well, I mean, it seems to me, at least at this point as a political analyst, that the Republicans are tripping over each other in support of Donald Trump. So I think it begs the question, is Donald Trump really a key factor in this election coming up?
John, I think respectfully, that's more of a question for my Republican opponents who continue to push the big lie, who continue to pander out of really a profound weakness that they have. And there is a cost to that pandering. There's a cost to peddling the big lie, not just to undermining our democracy, as you and I have spoken about many times, but by doing so, they ignore the real issues facing Pennsylvanians. I am focused on meeting the needs of Pennsylvanians. I've done that as Attorney General. I did that in Montgomery County, leading Pennsylvania's third largest county, and I am prepared to do that next as governor.
Final question. Let me just ask you about what worries some people is that the legislature, which is Republican, and as some would say, likely to remain Republican, the governor becomes the only check and balance on the state legislature. And if a Republican were elected governor of Pennsylvania, that might spell some things in terms of policies. So let me give you the chance to say, what would concern you most if Republicans were to win the governorship in 2022 and maintain control of the legislature? Do you worry about what that might mean for Pennsylvania and the people of Pennsylvania?
I do. That's why I'm running. And let me tell you something, John. I am going to Harrisburg to get big things done for people. And I've got a long track record of bringing people together to get those big things done. But make no mistake, if they come for your voting rights, if they come for people's reproductive rights, if they come against the right to organize, I will not hesitate to use my veto pen to protect the good people of Pennsylvania. And so I am prepared to work together to make progress for Pennsylvania. I've got big ideas on how to do that and a proven track record of getting things done, but I will always stand up and defend the rights and interests of the good people of Pennsylvania.
Well, Attorney General Josh Shapiro, now Democratic candidate for governor of Pennsylvania. Thank you, sir, very much for spending time with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
This has been a CBSN Pittsburgh special presentation. We now return to our scheduled programming in progress.